Hello, everybody. Welcome to Strong Female Lead. I'm one of your co-hosts, Trisha.
And I'm Tessa.
And we are here to take a look at the portrayal of female characters in movies and television in order to create a social dialogue about representation of women in media, because Hollywood has been telling us what is and is not a strong female lead for as long as we can remember. But did they get it right? Hi, Tessa.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I've had such a good week of consuming content that I'm not even going to let what's happening in the rest of the episode bring me down. I just saw one of the best movies that I've seen in a long time. I saw the Quiet Place, or A Quiet Place Part 2. It is phenomenal.
Oh my God.
Go see it.
That's really exciting because I do want to go see it in the theaters.
It is phenomenal. I think that, if this isn't nominated for awards, then I don't know what Hollywood's doing.
Better than the first?
It is, well, it's not better than the first one, only because some of the tropes they're bringing back. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the acting, they've added Cillian Murphy, who's always phenomenal and always overlooked. And just like Emily Blunt does an amazing job. Krasinski's in it for a minute.
Just a minute?
Yeah, because he passes away in the first movie.
Oh, he did? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think I had to watch the first one again.
I'm sorry. Spoilers.
I mean, I should have
known. A Quiet Place. You've really missed out. But the child actors in the second one are doing a really amazing job, and I just love seeing sign language on screen. I just love it. It makes me really happy and nostalgic for my own childhood. Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, I definitely want to see it. I can't believe I forgot John died.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to watch the first one again before.
Yeah. It's such an original concept that it's not that original, but the execution of it is so tense.
Yeah.
It's so good.
The first one was really tense as well.
Mm-hmm. So
can you imagine? I would never make it in the Quiet Place. Let that be known. I just would not be able to be quiet. If that's the cause of my death, there's things I could do, and I think I'd be an asset come, the apocalypse, but it would be in my social game, and I would not be able to do that social game that well without talking.
I think I would do okay. I'm just rather clumsy, so I think I could literally be quiet. But could I not run into walls or knock something over that led to my death? I'm also not very observant of my surroundings. So that would probably it'd be an accidental death, because I knocked over a can of beans and then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then, how the more you're trying to be quiet, if you're tiptoeing, if Zach's sleeping and I'm trying to be quiet, I end up being louder. Mm-hmm. It would just be that. That kind of situation, running into stuff. And yeah, I would not make it.
Yeah.
But I loved Emily Blunt in the first one.
Yeah.
She's so fantastic.
Baby, I'm like, ugh.
Oh yeah.
Silent childbirth.
Oh yeah, she was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the movie that we're covering is not that.
Well, how are you? How was your week? Are you watching anything great or not great? I'm just playing the movie.
I'm still watching the same things right now.
Mm-hmm.
Handmaid's Tale, Cruel Summer, which is on Hulu.
Oh, I saw that pop up as a suggestion. Do you like it? Cruel Summer?
It's so bad it's good.
Is it like Pretty Little Liars, like that type of vibe? Pretty Little Liars? Sort of. Yeah. It's got a really strange concept. It's sort of unique. It takes place in the 90s for no other reason other than probably just people love the 90s now. They love looking back at it. It feels so long ago. And
Yeah, it takes place in the 90s, and there's a girl who is kidnapped, and then she is found, and you know, they're wondering whether or not this other girl like knew she was kidnapped and didn't help. And the way that it's shot is, it in the beginning it says like, these events allegedly occurred on this date in 1993, 94, and 95, and they show the same, it's the same day for each year, and they show it for both of the girls in one episode. So you can only tell based on their hair, like which year it's in. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's fine. It's fine. Handmaids is good. You know, she's Juning, right? She's in Canada. She got out, and now she's just up against, you know, the people that kept her. So she's kind of like testifying, and not really testifying, but she's giving information to the Canadian government. And it has the guy from Parenthood. Did you ever watch Parenthood?
No.
I feel like he was in it. But anyways, yeah, and it's good. I mean, June is scary yet amazing, right? Like sometimes she has more in common with her personality wise with the woman who held her captive. I forget that person's name, but it comes to light more so in the latest episode, just some traits that they have that are very similar. Not saying that like June, you know, like it's just interesting, right? Because it's the person, the two like diametrically opposite characters, but they have like a little more in common than you might realize. And yeah, interesting.
Yes. Everyone keeps saying watch Mayor of Easttown. So if anyone out there, I think that's what it's called, Easttown. So if anyone out there is already watching the Mayor of Easttown with Kate Winslet, let me know what your thoughts are.
What's it about?
So I think Kate Winslet's character is like from a small town, and at some point she's like small town famous, and then becomes a detective. Life moves, you know, forward 30 years, and she's like this like detective who hasn't done anything great since she's been in high school, but now there's a murder in the town, and because it's
coming back
town, yeah, that's what I think is happening. And I was like, this seems like True Detective like, but with a woman. And I was like, I feel like I got that storyline from True Detective, or like that
small town detective kind of thing, like small town secrets. It's definitely something we've seen before, but Kate Winslet's such a good actress.
Yeah. And I feel like you wouldn't sign on to something that was so directly derivative of a show that was so explosively successful on the same network. Maybe they offer money, but
she wouldn't even have to.
Yeah.
Like she can afford to be super choosy. So maybe there is something to be seen.
Maybe.
Well, shit. So we're still doing the theme. You blank like a girl. And so we've done a couple movies. What have we done? We just did She's All That. Oh, She's the Man. Sorry. What are the other ones you did? Oh my God, Step Up. No, not Step Up.
I, Tonya.
Right.
Okay. We got one more after this, for the series.
Oh, we do. Yeah.
Ooh, we almost told you. Oh man, I think we saved it.
Ooh, gotta keep the secret. Well, we are covering $1 Million Baby.
Yes.
$1 Million Baby. All right. So $1 Million Baby is the 2004 American sports drama, directed, co-produced, and scored by Clint Eastwood. It's based on some short stories. It stars Eastwood, Hilary Swank, and Morgan Freeman, and the film follows Margaret Maggie Fitzgerald, who's played by Swank. She's an underdog amateur boxer who is helped by an underappreciated boxing trainer, Eastwood, to achieve her dream of becoming a professional. Wow. So
even that synopsis is misleading.
It is totally misleading. This movie is not about Maggie. It's not about Maggie. And we thought, like, maybe I was taking strong female lead too literally, but I'm like, look at her shoulders, like in those promos. Like, it's got to be about her kicking ass as a boxer, and it's barely about her.
It's so disappointingly not about her.
So, oh God. I mean, so basically Maggie shows up at the Hit Pit. It's a rundown LA gym owned and operated by Frankie, who's Clint Eastwood. And it's revealed that he's estranged from his daughter. I don't really know any more of the backstory on that. They didn't tell us. And so, you know, that's where Maggie comes in, right? She's sort of like surrogate daughter kind of thing. So she shows up, asks him to train her. He refuses because she's a woman and she's too old. So right off the bat, no qualms about it, full discrimination. I mean, and like open.
Yeah.
Like ageism and sexism. And he's so like, his voice is the lowest, most raspy voice I think I've ever heard on screen. It doesn't sound real.
Clint?
Yeah. Like Morgan Freeman has a low voice, and for Clint to like outlow him, it was like lower than anything I've ever heard. Maybe that was just in my head, but I hadn't seen a Clint Eastwood movie in a minute, so.
I feel like I always forget that I don't like Clint Eastwood until I see him on screen, and I remember that I don't like him as an actor. I don't think he's a great actor. I think he's maybe a better writer.
Yeah.
There's a place for him in Hollywood, but I don't know if in front of the screen is it. I think we're a little caught up in the nostalgia of Clint Eastwood to recognize that his acting has not progressed since the 1960s, I'm going to guess. Like,
no,
he just looks so awkward compared to Hillary and Morgan. It just seems like he nailed acting in the 60s and decided to never take a class again. Like,
yeah, like it's the same style.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like an older movie, like older than 2004, because of the style of acting, just the like gruff, like, and tough all the way through, like no emotion, but like by not showing emotion, you're supposed to know that he's like reeling with emotions underneath, like just not a tear to be shed.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even think he cried at the end, and like that was terrifying sad.
I guarantee they put eye drops in his eyes and then go.
Did he cry? Like, I don't even remember, but she shows up and he says, "You're a woman, you're old." And Maggie responds with like a big old smile. "Thanks, coach." Or I don't know what she's saying to him, but boss. She just does. She what?
She keeps calling him boss.
Boss, that's it. And like, I do not, those types of characters that just do not seem to take anything personally and then are just like forever smiling in spite of her circumstances. Like, she doesn't seem to care at all that like her life currently sucks. Like, there's nothing negative. There's no like negativity. I mean, she is impoverished. She's, you know, working late hours as a waitress at this little diner, like then spending all the rest of her time training and smiling the whole way through. And I'm just like, unsubscribe. Unsubscribe. I do not get this. It's scaring me. First of all.
See, this is when I was like, oh, okay, they're showing, this is an interesting perspective to take. At this point in the movie, I still thought the movie was about Maggie. And so I was like, interesting way to show these things like to show her, struggling. She's like stealing food from the place not stealing, but like taking the leftovers from the restaurant she works in. And then, Clint berates her about being old.
And she's just like, cool.
Yeah.
And just happy-go-lucky. She has a family that is like totally terrible. With a mother played by Margot, is it Martindale? Oh my God, who's just an incredible actress. Her mom is, I mean, that actress is just in a lot of things, sort of as a supporting role, and she just fucking nails it.
I thought she was great.
I mean, yeah, and her family like treats her like shit. So she's just there, and basically she just keeps showing up until he takes her on. And I'm like, in what world? Like, is there anything you would do that for? If someone just told you terrible things about yourself, berated you, you just keep showing up day after day? I mean,
well, yes, I could see myself doing that for quite a few things. An opportunity to meet Mariah Carey. Maybe an opportunity to be in a Marvel movie as a named character.
Well, shit, maybe you have more in common with Maggie than we realize. Because
you didn't have to wait that long. It was like, what, like maybe 3 months of like being ignored. And then, I mean, you do have Morgan Freeman there who talks to you.
Yes, Morgan Freeman. So, of course, Morgan Freeman's in this. And then also, who is, who's the boy? The young boy that like they shouldn't even let be there.
Oh, his
danger. Oh my God. Oh, he's described as a simpleton would-be boxer on
that's a nice way of putting it
on Wiki. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So Morgan Freeman works there too. He's a former boxer. He helps. He works at the gym. We find out later that Frankie used to be his trainer for a while. And then Morgan Freeman actually had, like, after a really rough fight, he ended up losing an eye. So, like, we don't know at first why Clint Eastwood is, like, as gruff and angry as he is, and why he's, like, so mean to Maggie. And then we start to find out, we begin to find out that he's just very scared of having another boxer get terribly injured in a fight. And so he loses a really good boxer, his like prize prospect, Big Willie Little, because he doesn't accept any offers for Willie to do a championship fight. And I guess it's because of that fear. I forget if Morgan Freeman had his injury during a championship fight, but I think he did. And so he's just training, but then he holds him back. And it's this very interesting, like, it's just all very strange. So obviously Maggie then ends up being amazing. She's got Morgan Freeman helping her out. And then finally, Frankie takes her in, and then she starts fighting. And those fights are so violent. Like, I did not know. Like, I think I've watched boxing maybe like once or twice on TV, and there's a hell of a lot more like dancing around, and they can go a couple of rounds and barely land a punch. And then in Hillary's, they're just like basically killing each other. Like killing each other. I mean, I was just like, holy shit.
I mean, this is another problem I had. I mean, I'm not endorsing like actors or actresses doing extreme things to their bodies to fit the role, but there isn't no way in hell Hilary Swank with that body is knocking people out in the first round. Like, I just don't think that there's accuracy like pointed enough to achieve that. And I was like,
you think she was too thin?
Yeah, compared to the people she was fighting. And I was like,
yeah.
like even less skilled. I mean, I don't know. I've never been knocked out in a room
I
like
haven't either.
outside of surgery, but
Yeah.
it just felt unrealistic.
It
But
for sure it did. I mean, she was definitely ripped, but like she was pretty slender
yeah,
in comparison to some of them. And yeah, she's just, yeah, she starts knocking them all out in the first round, and then he keeps having to elevate her and accept more and more offers for bigger fights. And he gives her this Gaelic nickname, which I cannot pronounce, but apparently it was misspelled in the movie, which I love. I love an oversight. Like something that's like shown a bunch and even like chanted by people.
mm-hmm.
Um, and he gives her a Gaelic nickname, which we find out later what it means. But he is really starting to like love her and help her. And so she gets this like so Frankie is finally willing to arrange a title fight for her. And he secures a $1 million match in Vegas against the women's welterweight champion, Billy the Blue Bear Osterman, who's a German ex-prostitute who has a reputation as an unpunished, dirty fighter. I was just like, that was that necessary for her to have that background? Like, it just felt a little cheap.
It will never ever believe the woman that they cast in that role is not Puerto Rican. Like, she's German all of a sudden. Like, what the?
I know.
Woman is 100% New York Puerto Rican. Like, I don't see anything else, and I don't believe it.
I totally agree. I was like,
Puerto Ricans in Germany? Is that what they're saying?
It was like they had the actress. What's that?
Instead of just kidding for everyone out there.
But it is like they had this actress, and Clint Eastwood was like, no, but she's still a German ex-prostitute. Like, he refused to let it go. Yeah. And then they were like, fine. She has to be. Okay. And so I thought that they had fought once before. And I think I guess they didn't. I thought that they had, but maybe it was just we watched another fight with the woman. But it's scary. And it gets real gross. Like those, the breaks where then they're just like sucking down water, like splashing it on their face, and he's like fixing her nose and sticking like Q-tips. I'm just like, oh.
Now, there's not really, I mean, I guess outside of those two things that I mentioned before, would I be in a boxing situation where, I mean, no matter what, you're going to get hit. And you're going to get hit by somebody who's trained to hit.
Right.
I would just stay a waitress. Like, was it that bad? Carrie Russell made it seem okay. And like,
yeah. No, this is what she wanted. And I'm like, all right, this is what you want. And, she then wins it. She knocks Billy out, but then Billy gets up and knocks her out with an illegal sucker punch from behind after the bell rings. So she wins and ultimately loses. She breaks her neck, and then she is paralyzed.
mm-hmm.
And this is when the movie
third act twist that really hit us all. It hit me.
Takes a terrible turn. I mean, she has already beat the odds, and now all of a sudden it's an entirely different movie about a woman who's paralyzed who doesn't want to live. And I'm just like, I can't.
Right? And then you're going back, like they have these little asides between Clint Eastwood and his pastor or priest, talking about like where Clint Eastwood is pretty much debating the priest on the existence of God and the tenets of the Catholic faith. And then this all comes back to play in the final act when he's debating whether or not he should do what Hillary or what Maggie is asking and
Hillary.
allow her to die. And I was like, dude, I don't understand why you're leaning on your Catholicism now. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, well, first of all, the movie, like, so Zach watched it with me and he said the funniest thing, and I just have to give this to him and not take it as my own, because this movie really was like almost like a combination of Shawshank and Gilbert Grape. What's Eating Gilbert Grape? It was like the underdog, and then with Morgan Freeman narrating.
Yes.
And
Another
then
strange thing. Why can't we just take the action as it's coming? Like, why is there a narrator?
so that's what Zach brought up. And I guess I don't really notice, but it's really uncommon to have like full narration like that, where they would tell the story rather than show us. And it just was like all the way through. And then What's Eating Gilbert Grape, you know, she says she has like her mom's like 350 pounds or something, which she wasn't, but that's fine. And then we have Danger, who, you know, definitely is definitely on the spectrum. And it was just like, this is Shawshank. This is What's Eating Shawshank. And we're all here for it. It's got all the components. I'm like, God.
Oh, yeah, I really liked Danger, and I really just dislike Anthony Mackie as an actor. And so to see him in a villainous role get knocked out by Morgan Freeman, I was here for it.
You don't like Anthony Mackie?
No, not as an actor. I think he's probably a great person. But as an actor, I just find his performances lacking depth.
That is, I guess I don't really think of him one way as an actor. I just think he is so incredibly attractive. But he was like a terrible person in this. But I was like, he's beautiful. I've only seen him in a couple other things.
Yeah. I prefer Mike Coulter, the first boxer, just a 10. That guy, a 10.
What's that?
Mike Coulter. He was the first, he was Clint Eastwood's first client who leaves him for the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
That guy. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I wish wow.
So that's it. So then she's paralyzed, and it is truly a downward spiral. She's developing bed sores. She has a leg amputated. Her family comes to visit, but that's terrible because they're just trying to get her to sign her assets over to them. And I'm just like, oh God. And then when they try to have her sign using the pen in her mouth, I was like, I want to die. This is so bad.
I like the Hilary Swank's sister is played by Riki Lindholm, who's a comedian, and I was so shocked to see her here. I was like, oh my God. Whenever I see like, and also the guy who played Danger is also a comedian.
Yeah.
To see them do like these serious ass roles, I'm just like, what? Oh, I love seeing it, but also it's just like at any moment say something funny, like do something.
No,
funny.
Definitely.
Do something.
Definitely. The guy who played Danger, I instantly recognized him. He did a great job at the role. I just didn't really understand the point of that character.
Yeah.
I was just like, he's great. He's killing it. Why is this happening? Like, I guess just to give him something to do, but it just seemed very sad.
Yeah, it was sad. I was like, I guess he's like the representation of the eternal dreamer. Like, I don't know.
But he wanted to fight someone who didn't even fight anymore.
I know.
No, it was just like, oh.
Dreamer. Like you can't achieve a dream and be a dreamer.
You're right. Then you stop dreaming.
Something, and so to have your aspiration be to fight somebody who's dead or no longer fighting is just a perfect dream.
It is a perfect dream. It's a constant dream.
Mm-hmm.
He'll always be in a state of dreaming.
It's like me meeting Mariah Carey. I mean, the odds are against me, but I've
never know.
Seen worse odds.
You never know. You do enough shout outs to her.
Yeah.
On this, you might just get your chance. We have a guest today, a special guest. He is husband of the pod, and also another resident doctor of the pod. In addition to Laura, I just messed up her name. I love her. Shout out. So Zach, my hubby of the pod, doctor of the pod. You're a doctor. Tell us.
Hi. Thanks for having me. That's what you say on podcasts, right?
I didn't even give you a chance. You do. I didn't even give you a chance to give an actual introduction.
Okay.
We're happy.
Okay.
Yeah. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy.
I'm very
Okay.
Tell us what is with her injuries? What happened in this movie and why did it unfold the way that it did? And is it accurate?
Can you begin at the medical term
It is
for sucker punch?
Yeah, right.
Sucker punch.
Punches suckerus? No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. The whole movie was very bizarre because I was watching it just seemed like a normal kind of mediocre sports movie from the early 2000s, like Remember the Titans or whatever, and then suddenly she gets paralyzed and just takes this like really Terry Schiavo like turn. So she gets sucker punched by like some like offensively scary character, and then lands on a chair, and she like cracks her neck where you hear the sound of cracking, and then it all fades to black and she wakes up in a hospital bed. So when she woke up in a hospital bed, assuming a long time has gone by, she says she sustained a C1 to C2 spinal cord fracture with complete tear in her spinal cord. So C1 to C2 is like basically the base of the neck. So like, or the most right below your head. So like basically where the spinal cord originates and innervates all of the muscles of the body. So that is to say that she's completely paralyzed from the neck down, basically. She has no like function, no ability, and if it's completely ruptured like it was, completely torn like it was, it will never regain any of its functionality. So that is a lot to happen after a normal sports movie for the first 90 minutes of a normal sports movie. Then it just like goes entirely off the rails. So first of all, none of it needed to happen. So let's talk a little bit about the medical thing. And I'm not like, I don't want to be the person who nitpicks on medicine or nitpicks on science.
That's why we have you on.
That's exactly why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
But like, listen, in science fiction, in TV, medicine doesn't like, I'm not mad if the medicine is not perfect, but in this situation, it was not even close. Like not even, they never asked a doctor anything, and that was very clear in the making of this movie. So she comes out after being paralyzed, and she has a trach. So a trach or tracheostomy is like a breathing tube that goes through your neck into the main airway of your lungs or your trachea. She is also on a ventilator. And I think most importantly, in any situation, so let me back up. If she's on a trach and a ventilator, assuming she's also on a G-tube feed, at any point, she then really wants to die and is going through every measure to kill herself after like a horrible bunch of depressive turns with bed sores, and she loses a leg from like a bone infection or something like that. She then wants to die. She tells Clint Eastwood that she wants to die, but she can't die. So she's like trying, in the most grotesque scene ever, trying to bite her tongue in half in hopes that she will bleed out. And I think this is really when it's alarming how little they know about medicine, because at any point you can discontinue life support on your own accord. All you have to say is, I want to be disconnected from life support. And as long as you're medically or like mentally competent enough to make that decision, you get disconnected from life support. So all they had to do was ask to be disconnected from the ventilator, and she would have died without literally biting her tongue in half. And I think that's what's most jarring about the movie, is that they like the entire plot was building up to this point that medically or legally did not make any sense.
Yeah. Like, how did he not catch murder charges after that? Because we're just going to let people murder people in hospitals and just walk out? What?
Yeah. And yeah, like, all of that was not, like, I don't know what he injected into her arm, by the way, where she just died instantly.
It was adrenaline. I was like, I feel like that's the opposite. I guess if you give anyone enough of it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
she was supposed to fall asleep.
Adrenaline?
You're injecting her with adrenaline. It seems like she would have been awake and screaming or something.
Yeah.
I thought it was morphine. I don't know. But either way, like, so when Zach and I were watching it, I was like, oh my God, they didn't tell Hillary / Maggie her rights. Like, and then he's like, I don't think the writers knew that she could.
There's no way. They wouldn't have made that the entire plot point if all she had to do was say, like, disconnect me from the ventilator.
It could have been a witty walk and talk back and forth, West Wing style, between Clint Eastwood and the doctor.
Right.
And that could have been.
There you go.
Yeah. It would have added a lot of script. Would have added like 20 pages of script for one conversation.
Yeah. But like, why did that even have to be a plot turn in this movie? It was like a fine sports movie for the majority of the movie, and then it was like they tried to make us as miserable as possible for 45 minutes before the movie ended.
Yeah, I pretty much went away with thinking like women shouldn't even try at sports because you will fail.
Yeah,
and
you're too frail and fragile. Just let the men do the sports.
Yeah, even Morgan Freeman and his like 100-year-old self is able to knock out Anthony Mackie, no problems, not even a broken hand or a scratch. But
yeah,
let your like anyone with a vagina, it's like get out of here.
It really. It was terrible.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. Yeah, not to like, you guys are better at this strong female stuff than me, but like, she was totally subservient to Clint Eastwood in I think like a weird paternalistic way, where she like, Clint Eastwood would basically say like, you have to listen to everything I say and you can't think for yourself and do what I tell you, you piece of garbage little child. And she was just like, okay, mister.
Yeah, no, Tessa and I have touched on the fact that we were under the impression that this movie was about Hilary Swank's character, but it really, really wasn't. Mm-hmm. She was a manic pixie.
Mm-mm.
She was a manic pixie for Clint Eastwood, and it was not what I thought.
This is what happens when manic pixies survive. If they don't exit the movie, they are gruesomely murdered. Be the trend.
Right.
Either
what are we gonna do with this?
Or in a body.
Vacuous character.
I actually forgot. I forgot that part of it, Zach, where he hired, like he's like, yeah, I can train you, but you can't. All you can say is yes. Or something, and I was just like, ooh, God.
Yeah. Oh. It feels like.
And also, she didn't like, and then the like weirdness about. Like, it got even more paternalistic because he was estranged with his daughter and she didn't have a dad or whatever. So it was like this weird paternalistic relationship, but then they kissed at the end and it just all made me feel so gross. He kissed and then murdered. The classic kiss and murder.
Wait, no, even better. Kiss, murder, kiss. He kissed her after, too.
Kiss, murder, kiss. It was a murder sandwich with kiss bread.
Yeah, that old kiss bread.
I felt so dirty after watching it.
It was definitely, it was troublesome. And then that Irish name, which I found out, Zach, they misspelled it, which makes it really hilarious. The Gaelic name was misspelled.
What was it supposed to mean?
Well, it had the same meaning, but it was my darling and my blood. So she took the name and he didn't tell her the meaning, and then he told her at the end.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
Confused for her.
And then kissed her, killed her, kissed her.
I'm thinking the daughter's estranged for a bad reason. Before I was like, okay, well maybe she's just rebelling, but now I think he did something.
And also let it be known that Morgan Freeman's character saw him kill Maggie. He was at the hospital in the shadows, doing his best magical Negro because Morgan Freeman
Oh my gosh.
was, God, I love him, I do, but I feel for him in the sense that like this is his ultimate type of role. It was exactly the same as Shawshank. It was pretty
but a decade
much the
later.
same role.
Yeah.
Same role.
I did miss for the first half movies where you could just like talk, like the narrator would just tell you everything that was going on, so you didn't have to think for yourself at all. Do you remember that from like the late 90s, early 2000s, where all you could do is have some old man be like,
Vance.
And now they're gonna go.
Yeah.
Bagger Vance. I've never seen that.
Magical Negro narrating the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah, I didn't realize it was happening until Zach pointed it out, and then I was like, yeah, we don't have to think, and then they don't really have to do as much acting.
No.
Yeah.
It's not.
Or write it. Like they don't have to write what's happening. They just have to have some old guy tell you what's happening, and they never have to do anything.
Okay, are we supposed to believe that Clint Eastwood's character like walked into the sunset and that was him dying? Did he die? Did he buy that pie shop? Is he on the run? I would have loved.
Does he build a cabin? Does he build a cabin and have a lot of pie? Because weren't they going to build a cabin together and live together at some point? Like, I don't know.
Don't like the relationship between. It really creeped me out.
It was.
Yeah, it was
troubling. And honestly, that point that she could make that decision, I don't know why I thought you couldn't make the decision, but in my head, if someone was on life support, I just didn't imagine a situation where they would have the wherewithal to make that decision. But you can, and there's this population that can, and instead she just asked him to perform euthanasia on her.
Yeah. And the biting of the tongue was just so unsettling and unnecessary in that situation. Like, yeah.
I mean, couldn't he? Well, you're right. I think it's the writers that didn't know or didn't care, because he could have like then told the doctor,
yeah,
hey, she said this to me, so like you might want to talk to her. You know, I mean, not like to speak for her or make the decision, but wouldn't that be something you could do? Could someone say that
totally.
They mentioned this, like, will you have a conversation with her? Like, I want her to understand what her options are, but no.
Yeah.
No.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? That was the movie.
Nope, there's like, here are your options. You can stay alive or you can bite your tongue off. You pick.
And then like they said she did it twice.
Yeah.
No.
It was just so bad. And then the argument, oh my God, I forgot about this. Then the argument that Morgan Freeman makes later about that being the best her life could have been. And they all did her a favor.
Yeah.
Like, that's basically what he says at the end, which like really hit me. Like, she had no shot at anything. This is as good as it can get. It's fine. Like, that was basically what I took from it. And I was like, oh my God, guys.
Yeah.
The sad part is that she seemed to agree that this.
It was like Cheers.
Could get.
Yeah.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. And I was like, girl, you've just achieved what 0.001% of people on Earth achieve, which is a professional level sporting career. I think you could do probably anything else you put your mind to as well. Oh.
Except she really couldn't, like, in her, like, I understood.
Oh, as a.
Yeah, like I understood her saying, you know, I feel like I can't live this life, like, after what I've lived. And I understand why someone, I think people, you know, it's dark, but it's a truth, and people have the right to kind of, if they're in that situation, to be like, is this the life I want? But like, it just felt like it was like putting a dog down or something, like the way that Morgan Freeman was talking about it, you know, like I understood her saying it, but just, I don't know, him, it hit me the wrong way. Like when
they even referenced it, like going out to the woods with the dog and didn't come back with one, right? Like,
oh, right.
They literally treated her like a pet.
Oh my God. She compared herself to the dog. I forgot about that. Mm-hmm. Oh, heartbreaking. I mean, what in the fuck is this movie? It's not even depressing in like an interesting way. It's just like sad.
I want to know from your legal perspective, how would it hold up in court if your will and document was signed because Margot Martingale put a pen in your mouth and made you sign something?
I mean, it seems like it's under duress.
Yeah, that can't hold up. Just like putting a pen and a piece of paper in front of you.
I'm not saying that I'm sure that it's happened, but no. I mean, well, she didn't even really sign it. I think she like had the pen there and then let it go. So if it did anything, it was just like a mark like down the page. But like, no, you can't have someone sign like that. And she had her attorney there, so like they were going to try and do it, and I'm sure there's situations where it's happened, but I feel like you'd have to make it look like, well, no, also she is a, you know, she's paralyzed, so she has to sign with her mouth. So it's kind of a weird thing where it's like, what kind of signature can you get from someone in that situation? Then how do you prove that like they wanted it or didn't want it? I don't know. It looks shady to me. I don't think that whatever that happened, I don't think that would have been all right. But that lawyer seemed fine with it. So
don't think it is great. Who is this lawyer?
I mean, I guess he was hoping she might do it, right? Because people can, like when someone's really elderly and they sign things, you know, like their signatures that look like the person's not well. I don't, you know what? I don't know. It seems shady as fuck to me. I think she stopped it, but yeah, it seems like it's under duress. I think that they would have a difficult time proving that. And then she would also be able to show like exactly what she said, that like the house that she had turned over and the welfare fraud her mom was committing. So I don't think it would have worked for them. But and really weird about Hilary Swank's character, like she was really like, golly gee, and then she would just have these like moments of like pure takedown, like verbal takedown, where I was just like, whoa, like I'm scared. Oh my God, Zach, thank you. You've never been on.
Yeah.
Yay.
No, this is good. I was on. I'm one of the medical consults. I was on. Wasn't I on when we had talked about, I don't know, there was some drug. There was some drug that you guys didn't. I don't know. Never mind.
Oh, no.
No, that's right. What was it? What was the movie?
What was it? And I feel like, did we call you on right on the spot? Or did we tell you earlier? I mean, it could have been just.
I don't totally remember. You guys have been doing this for a while now. It was what, a year and a half, 2 years ago?
Yeah, we've been doing it for over 2 years.
Yeah.
I thought 3 years. And then I looked at it and it was like, no, it's not been that long. But one of these days we'll have to have you and Dr. Laura on.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about stretch and you guys can tell us what's wrong.
Yeah.
I'll say I love it.
Also,
or
well, Zach had other things that he found wrong with it. He didn't like the sound of the trach.
I mean, yeah, like those are the things you can like learn to ignore if you're in medicine. Like she was speaking, you shouldn't be able to speak, or at least speak as well if you have a tracheostomy in place. She can speak fine. If you can't speak, you have to have a certain valve on that she didn't have on. Like there were things wrong medically, but like none of them were nearly as egregious as just none of it making any sense, like medical legally.
It was terrible.
It
was terrible.
Bad. It was just bad. And like hasty. And it didn't seem hasty for the beginning of it. It was like kind of like thoughtful. But then it just totally jumped the shark in this very bizarre way.
Yeah, they gave up.
Yeah, they gave up. When I was watching it, it felt like they handed the script to the producers, and the producers just like handed it back and said like, make shit go wild for the last 30 minutes. They're like, all right.
Yeah. It's like, we were losing them. What are we going to do?
Make them cry.
Right. We're out of here.
Right. Yeah.
Kill her. She can't make it. Kill her. She can't make it. She can't keep going.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, I figured when she first got paralyzed that was like, okay, like she's already a 31-year-old boxer. Like, is she really going to come back from paralysis to box again? But that is not where it was going. It was just slowly watching her decay after that.
For a second, I thought, yeah, is she going to make it? Is she going to come back? And then they amputated her leg, and I was like,
yeah,
no, I don't think so.
It's over.
Oh my God, I'm so evil, but I can't help but laugh. It was just really, really terrible. Well, this won a lot of Academy Awards, so there's that.
Shocking amount.
A lot of them.
Did it?
Oh,
Did
yeah.
it? Oh,
Best
man.
Picture, Best Actress. Clint, I think, won. I mean, it 2004, it was $1 Million Baby.
Ugh.
I know. And this is to Zach's point.
Right.
Zach has said things like, and we've sort of disagreed on this, but he just thinks that movies are just better now, like the way that they're made. And now when we're watching movies that were considered really, really good,
Mm-hmm.
it's tough to compare because like just, and technologically speaking, sure, but you were also talking like acting wise and direction and everything is just like at a different level now that it's just like, good God, this looks like something like that's like a joke.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you look at movies from like the 40s and the dynamic between men and women, even married men and women, the way that they act opposite each other, it's like it still feels like they're acquaintances. like you met on set today, and we're married. Compared to today, where it just feels like a much more fuller, complete relationship, familiarity-wise.
That's an interesting point. No intimacy in older movies, and very much like theatrical acting.
Yeah, which is why
movies.
It's jarring to see Clint pretend to cry at the very last minute. I'm like, there must be an eye drop guy right off screen.
Did he cry? Okay.
They were like glassy. I don't think anything fell, but they were glassy.
He's too tough to cry. He's too tough. Oh, well, thank you, Zach.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, this is fun. I'm going to tear apart whatever next medical thing comes up.
Good.
That's my new role. I'm assigning myself that. Yeah.
I love it.
Good. I love it. All right, love you.
Yeah.
All right, love you.
I'm like, all right, love you. Bye.
All right. Everybody loves everybody. Get off. What if I just stay here? I'm just not going to leave. All right, bye.
That's okay.
How funny. So there's the medical piece of this, but yeah, it was jarring. And then like listening to his feedback, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, that does really make sense about her speaking with the tube in her neck. How is that?
It does. But as like a movie watcher, I just don't. Oh my God, now I remember what we had Zach on for. We were talking about roofies.
Yeah. Roof.
I forgot that we had, I feel like I may have just called him on like, hey, Zach, come here. Say something about this. I feel like that's sort of how it happened. That's funny. I don't remember the one time he was on. Oh my God. Terrible. It was so long ago.
Oh my gosh. But, I wanted to say, the one part of the movie that really like took me out of it, like I made it to the end, thank God. It was so long. But
so long.
When it's revealed that Morgan Freeman isn't just the narrator, but all of the storytelling and heartbreak and devastation is being written to a letter to Clint Eastwood's estranged daughter to then return to sender, shattered. She always returns all of Clint Eastwood's
Right.
letters return to sender, and I was like, you got to be kidding that she won't even read this in the end. We're the only ones who'll ever hear the story.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, is Clint didn't send it. It had to be Morgan Freeman writing the letter. So maybe does he know where the daughter is, or does Clint Eastwood just not tell him that everything returns to sender? Like, I don't know.
Maybe he doesn't know that they return.
Like, but I was like, oh God, like double sucker punch. Like, this is all just so terrible all around.
I'm like, even in just everything about Maggie's life is about Clint Eastwood. And I was like, this is devastating. This could have at least been, like a letter to her estate that should, well, I guess you wouldn't confess to a murder in it, but.
Dear lawyers.
But yeah, like I'm assuming she left her whatever monies and things she had left to her family. And so at least for them to maybe have a complete look at her last days, like.
But they don't care.
They don't.
And that's what's like triple, quadruple depressing about this.
Mm-hmm.
No one cares. That's it.
No, this did not have the normal sports movie vibes.
Oh yeah, definitely didn't. Tell me, what are the beats? What are they sports movies supposed to make me do?
Yeah, it started out really well. We've got like a ragtag team of misfits and Clint and Maggie, the guys in the gym, Danger, and Morgan Freeman. And then someone gets the half-brained idea that they could be great, even though they suck. They try. There's trials and tribulations. There's some sort of big. There's the initial like big game, and then they have to lose, and go back to the beginning, and be humbled, and then they come back for an epic conclusion. And this, it didn't do any of the things that I wanted it to do. It did make me cry, but it was really just like I was just like at such a low point. You really just like brought all of the energy out of my being and have like I am stripped to nothing. This is so depressing.
It was so depressing. Okay, so for strong female lead, we take a look at 3 criteria to determine whether or not the lead in the movie is, according to us, a strong female lead. They must be top billed, they must have their own agency, and they must move the plot along. Tessa, giving this to you because I don't know.
Well, Hilary Swank is top billed.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yes. And she does have agency. She chooses to go to the gym. She chooses to ignore the rule about not asking questions. She immediately asks questions. And she chooses to end her own life, even though she doesn't do it herself. She's choosing for that action to be done.
Yeah.
So I'll give her the agency. She moves the story forward.
I guess she does.
She moves Clint's story forward.
Right.
Which is like a little asterisk next to her SFL crown. But like, I think she fulfills the criteria, but like with an asterisk. The story is not about her, which, I mean, fine. We've given other supporting actors an SFL before.
Right.
So
I agree. I think she meets the criteria, and we have given other, supporting actors, SFL hats, but I think it was just so shocking that the story wasn't about her.
Yeah.
That like, I just did, it just really hit me. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, this is the best time to ask, like, what do you think the screenwriters, directors, producers, filmmakers in general were thinking when it comes to femininity and masculinity?
I mean, she was pretty feminine,
Mhm.
I think, in this. I mean, I feel like it was just like it felt like they were saying like women shouldn't fight. But there were a lot of other boxers, like all the ones that she was fighting,
Mhm.
especially the one that basically killed her. Um, Tessa, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if they're saying anything specific about it. It does seem like, he takes her under his wing,
Mhm.
like her daughter. So maybe like, I don't know. I don't know.
I agree. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know that they're saying too much about femininity and masculinity. I would say that what I was getting is that her femininity needed to be not extinguished but suppressed in order to be a champion fighter, at least in the eyes of Clint Eastwood. Because and I really feel like it was because of issues that Clint has, and not something that was coming from Hilary Swank's character. I think he has
Right.
a weird thing with his daughter who's estranged because he did something truly terrible,
Which we don't
that
know.
he never mentioned. And because he feels lost in the area of a father-daughter connection, he is like punishing Hilary Swank before he even gives her a chance. And I think
Right.
that's a commentary, an interesting look at femininity in the ways that it is at time to your detriment in areas of like combat sports and fight sports.
Yeah. I mean, he basically, but then, I mean, he wanted to like, it was like he was quelching her, but he was asking her to be more docile at the same time, like saying like, don't question me. But then the more the story went on, the movie went on, it showed us that apparently that's how they train,
Yeah.
like to the point where you aren't, it's basically like the military.
Mm-hmm. Which I thought was interesting because like he's like, yeah, I want to break her down, or you break a fighter down until they get to a point where it's your voice or theirs, but they have to still be able to hear their own voice and choose their own voice. And I was like, that didn't make sense to me, but sure, okay, whatever. I guess I'm not a professional
Oh,
athlete that should make sense to me, but I think
I
if
thought it was that they were just supposed to only hear your voice, but fuck
yeah,
it if
well,
I know.
he was saying something about like, well, if there has to be some sort of like light, and if you are able to extinguish it, then they're not they need that like little light of fire in them somehow. I don't know. It didn't really make sense. A lot of it didn't make sense.
It really didn't. I mean, it really didn't. I didn't love it. I didn't even like it.
I didn't. What would you rate it though?
Oh my God. I mean, like the acting, like Morgan Freeman's always really good. He's not really like a character actor per se, but like he emotes really well. Like I like him.
Mhm.
Um, it didn't. It didn't save it. It's like a 2.
Same. I would give it 2 out of 5. This story is what I don't like. And so I don't know that there's any way to save it. I think if you're just a movie buff and you'll see anything, then and you have 2 hours to commit to this, then go for it. But otherwise, no. That's a no. I might even give it 1.5 stars. Like
Right now, 2 seems like a lot. It was just not what I go to a movie for.
yeah.
It's not what I watch it for.
Well, that was $1 million. Maybe it should just be like $50 Clint. Seems like a more apt title. 50 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I mean, I have nothing else to say about it. Just the thought of it is exhausting to me.
We have to find a redemption movie for Hilary Swank. I will always recommend P.S. I Love You because I love that movie, and it's great.
Never seen it, but I would watch it.
It's so good. It's so good. It's her and what's his face who's Scottish, just
Yeah.
my accent.
I know who you're talking about, but I don't know his name.
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler. Remember when he was around?
Yeah,
He was rom-comming.
he's making the rounds. I don't know where he is right now or what he's doing. Oh wait, he did there's a movie with him on HBO actually, where the world is destroyed.
Oh.
It came out like maybe a month ago.
Oh, that's good.
Looks
good
sad.
for him. Oh. Good for him.
I think it has a happy ending. It doesn't look like something that has a happy ending, but
it might.
This is just my speculation.
So that's $1 Million Baby. We have one more sports movie. Yes. And I don't know, should we say what it is? We could say, right?
Yeah.
You want to tell them?
Patient. Yeah.
Okay.
The last movie, get excited. I mean, you guys have probably already seen this before. It's called But I'm a Cheerleader. I feel like it should be spoken like that.
I'm a cheerleader?
Couldn't be happy with me, but I'm a cheerleader. So it's a perfect bridge between this and the rest of June, which is Pride Month. So happy early Pride Month. Or it will be Pride Month when you're hearing this, so happy Pride.
You're right. It'll just straddle the two. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, thank you for listening. You can find us on Instagram at StrongFemalePod.
And tweet at us your prayers to the Church of SFL at SFL_Chicago on Twitter.
We love tweet prayers. We love tweet.
Big guy directly or big lady.
Exactly. And then just rate, review, and subscribe wherever you pod. Yeah. And I think that's it.
That's it. Bye.
Bye.